My mother was the Queen for a very long time. And although you kind of know that this might happen, you don't really think about it very much. Not least of all because the monarchy is about continuity. But I think for my brother, this is something he's been waiting for.
Just when it seemed like everything about the future of the monarchy had already been decided, something surprising happened. Princess Anne, who's known for staying calm and keeping her thoughts private, chose to speak up. And when she did, her message was strong and certain. She believed their mother, Queen Elizabeth II, and said the decision made years ago was the right one.
But I think for my brother, this is something he's been waiting for. And he's probably spent more time thinking about it.
In her hands was a letter. Not just any letter, but one that had been kept out of sight for years, waiting quietly for the right time. And that time had finally arrived. What was inside that letter, and why now? Let's dive into the video and find out. The letter no one expected. The letter didn't talk about King Charles. It didn't even mention Prince William. It focused on someone else, someone the Queen believed had the strength to carry the monarchy into the future: Catherine. That night, the palace was silent. Inside, Anne asked for a private meeting. Only Charles and William were invited. There were no assistants, no distractions. The three of them gathered in a room filled with royal portraits and thick silence. Anne didn't explain. She placed the letter on the table and waited. Charles reached for it first. His hands shook. William leaned over to read beside him. The room stayed silent. The clock ticked loudly, as if counting down to something none of them could name. The Queen's words were clear. She didn't just support Catherine as a wife to the future king. She saw her as the key to the monarchy's survival, someone who had earned the public's respect, not because of her title, but because of her calm, steady presence. Charles looked down at the letter, his voice low and uncertain. He said this wasn't how things were supposed to be. His shoulders sank a little more. William said nothing. He just stared at the page, his hands still. Anne didn't try to explain or argue. She had come to deliver the message. Her mother had trusted her with it.
Because my mother didn't change very much, I kind of knew what the rhythm of the year was. So things like that will change.
And she had waited long enough. In that moment, it was clear. Catherine wasn't just important to the family. She represented its future. William finally asked why the Queen had never said anything before. Anne looked at him and answered quietly. Maybe she had waited until they were ready to understand. In another part of the palace, Catherine sat alone by the window. She had just put the children to bed. Her tea sat untouched. And something in her felt unsettled, though she didn't know why. She had never asked for attention. She never chased power. But she had always shown up, calm and steady. That's what the Queen had seen. That's why she chose her. Catherine had always placed duty and family before anything else. She brought a sense of calm into the often tense world of the royals. And that's what made her different. She didn't just fit into the monarchy, she gave it meaning. Back in the meeting room, the letter stayed on the table like a quiet challenge. Anne stood. She didn't wait for anyone to respond.
Bravery required to stand up and go.
She simply said it was time. The world was different now.
King Charles has appeared to briefly lose his patience.
And they had to move with it or risk being left behind. No one disagreed, but no one celebrated either. The moment didn't feel like victory. It felt like change. The next morning, the sky over London was grey, but inside the palace, something had already shifted. A new meeting was called. It wasn't public. It wasn't formal, but it was important. Senior royals and close advisors were present. No one spoke much, but everyone understood why they were there. Princess Anne arrived first. She looked calm, but focused. She carried the letter again, this time in a simple folder. King Charles followed. His expression was neutral, but his eyes looked tired. Prince William came last, quiet and serious. Anne didn't wait long. She placed the folder on the table and spoke clearly. This was the Queen's final wish. They opened the letter again and read it slowly. Catherine's name stood out, not as a supporter, but as a leader. The Queen hadn't changed the official order, but her intention was clear. Catherine was more than a partner to a future king. She was someone meant to lead. The room fell quiet again. Some were confused. Some were angry. A royal shift unfolds. The news hit like a shock inside Buckingham Palace. The Queen's private letter, hidden for years, finally surfaced. It didn't just talk about the usual line of succession. Instead, it named Catherine, the Princess of Wales, as key to the monarchy's future. The implications were clear, and they unsettled the very core of the royal family. King Charles reacted first, struggling to believe what he was hearing. He thought it was absurd that the line of succession could be changed so dramatically.
Say a few words about my father and why I believe this weekend is so important. Service. My father's first words on entering Westminster Abbey yesterday were a pledge of service. He has dedicated himself to serve others.
Anne, standing firm, made it clear that their mother wasn't confused or mistaken. She had a plan, and she knew exactly what she wanted.
I never remember the passage of time, of course, but no, I was very honoured to be asked to become Colonel-in-Chief of the Royal Newfoundland Regiment, because I think even though I may not have known the specifics of particularly of Beaumont, but I knew enough about the history of the regiment to know that it was an extraordinary history in its own right.
Prince William's response was quieter, but just as powerful. He asked what this meant for him, the heir he had been preparing to become king. Anne's answer was steady but firm. William was still important and needed, but for the monarchy to survive, it had to change. That was the Queen's message, and she expected them to understand it. William's heart ached. It felt like a personal betrayal, but deep down, he recognized the truth. He had seen Catherine face hardships that might have broken him. The public adored her, not because she chased attention, but because she handled it with grace. If he was honest, maybe she had always been the real leader. Outside the palace, life seemed normal. No big announcements or public drama, but inside, the atmosphere was tense. Catherine went about her work as usual, visiting hospitals, supporting mental health causes, offering kindness wherever she went. Every act connected her more to the vision the Queen had left behind. Meanwhile, whispers and rumors started to spread, quietly. Anne remained calm and steady, knowing this was the turning point. The old ways were changing, whether the public was ready or not. For centuries, the palace stood as a symbol of tradition. But after the Queen's death, things began to shift. Charles became king, but the crown didn't sit on him the same way. His rise was expected, but not celebrated. People respected the monarchy, but the connection was fading. Charles faced his own struggles. His past, his complicated relationships made it hard for the public to fully embrace him. The crown still shone, but the man beneath it felt distant from the legacy. Prince William carried his own burden. On paper, he was the future. Young, relatable, admired. Yet every step he took was watched and judged. Even his marriage to Catherine.
That it was the right time, really. We've been talking about marriage for a while, so it wasn't a massively big surprise, but
meant to bring hope, created tension. As Catherine's popularity grew, it sometimes overshadowed him. Across the ocean, Harry stirred up old wounds with public accusations.
You write about a contentious meeting you had with him in 2021. You said, "I looked at Willie, really looked at him, maybe for the first time since we were boys. I took it all in. His familiar scowl, which had always been his default in dealings with me, his alarming baldness, more advanced than my own, his famous resemblance to Mummy, which was fading with time, with age." It's pretty cutting.
I don't see it as cutting at all. My brother and I love each other. I love him deeply. There has been a lot of pain between the two of us, especially the last 6 years.
The royal family's foundation felt weaker every day. Right after the Queen's death, the country mourned together, but that unity faded fast. Polls showed many young people doubting the monarchy's place in today's world. Calls for change grew louder in countries like Australia and the Caribbean. The royal family sensed it. The loyalty they once counted on was slipping. They realized tradition alone couldn't save them. They needed to prove their value again, not with statements or PR.
In some respects, I suppose I tend to think it stole a bit from my father, who lost a lot of the people who would have gone to see him and talk to him and have those.
But with someone genuine, someone the public could believe in. And somehow, Queen Elizabeth had seen this coming long before anyone else. She quietly placed her trust in Catherine, not because of birthright, but because Catherine represented hope. As days passed, the family felt the weight of the Queen's choice. Catherine stayed focused, unaware of the storm behind the palace walls. Her charity work and public appearances earned admiration, but those closest to her understood what was really happening. William wrestled with a new reality. His future as king was no longer certain. The woman he loved had become the key to the monarchy's survival. The tension between his duty and his love grew with every day. The monarchy's future was no longer about old rules or bloodlines. It was about change, and Catherine was at the center. The family faced challenges beyond the letter. Charles spent sleepless nights searching for answers from history, trying to find his place. William's worries weighed heavily, especially when he looked at his children. He wanted to prepare them for a future of honor, but what if that future never arrived? Catherine's early life and values. Catherine Elizabeth Middleton was born on January 9, 1982, in Reading, England, far from the royal world she would later join. Her family lived comfortably but valued hard work above all. Her father, Michael, worked as a flight dispatcher, and her mother, Carol, had been a flight attendant. On her father's side, the Middletons had deep roots in British society, even hosting royals in the early 1900s. Her mother's family came from humble beginnings, with ancestors who worked as coal miners. This mix gave Catherine a unique balance of tradition and down-to-earth values. When Catherine was 2, the family moved to Amman, Jordan, where her father worked for British Airways. There she attended an English-speaking nursery school and learned early how to adjust to new cultures. By 1986, they returned to England and settled in Berkshire. Catherine started school at St. Andrews when she was 4, already showing a quiet independence and maturity that hinted at the resilience she would need later in life. Her mother's entrepreneurial spirit shaped the family's future. In 1987, Carol launched Party Pieces, a mail-order business selling party supplies. It began as a small idea but grew into a successful company. This gave Catherine and her siblings access to better education and taught her early on about patience, resilience, and building something meaningful from scratch. By 1995, the family had moved to a quiet village called Bucklebury. Catherine changed schools and eventually attended Marlborough College, where she stood out as a leader, especially as captain of the girls' field hockey team. She earned the Gold Duke of Edinburgh Award, showing her dedication and humility. During this time, she also quietly recovered from minor surgery, never letting it interrupt her focus. After finishing school, Catherine faced an important choice. She had been accepted to the University of Edinburgh but decided to take a gap year first. She used this time to travel and learn more about herself. Her journey took her to Florence to study art at the British Institute. She then volunteered with Raleigh International in Chile, working on community projects and hiking tough terrain. She even worked as a deckhand at the busy port of Southampton. Nothing was too hard for her. Later, Catherine enrolled at the University of St. Andrews in Scotland. She started studying psychology, but soon switched to art history. At university, she joined the Lumsden Club, organizing charity events and supporting local causes. To cover her expenses, she worked as a waitress, showing she wasn't afraid to work hard or get her hands dirty. It was at St. Andrews that Catherine met Prince William. They became close friends.
I took her up somewhere nice in Kenya and proposed.
It's very romantic. There's a true romantic in that.
There is.
You said yes, obviously.
Of course, yes, yeah.
Bonding over art history. By 2002, their friendship blossomed into a romance after moving into a shared house with other students. They kept their relationship private at first, avoiding the public eye. But by 2004, people started noticing when they were seen vacationing together in Switzerland.
You waited till the end?
I'd been planning it for a while, but as every guy out there will know, it takes a certain amount of motivation to get yourself going. So I was planning it, and then it just felt really right out in Africa. It was beautiful at the time, and I had done a little bit of planning to obviously share my romantic side.
Their relationship faced challenges, especially from the media. In 2007, the pressure caused a brief breakup, which Catherine described as painful, but ultimately strengthening. She handled the split with grace and emerged more confident. After a few months, they reunited, stronger than before. Throughout their relationship, Catherine dealt with intense public scrutiny. The press even gave her the nickname Weighty Katie at one point. But she remained calm, focused, and true to herself, never letting negativity shake her. In November 2010, they announced their engagement, and Catherine began preparing for life in the royal spotlight. She started using her full name again, and on April 29, 2011, she married Prince William in a ceremony watched by millions. She became the Duchess of Cambridge and stepped into a world filled with royal duties and public service. Despite the enormous expectations, Catherine stayed humble and kind. Over the years, she and William became the face of a modern royal couple. They welcomed 3 children: Prince George in 2013, Princess Charlotte in 2015, and Prince Louis in 2018. Each child brought joy to the family and captured the public's heart. Why King Charles chose Princess Anne over Camilla. When King Charles decided to name Princess Anne as the next queen instead of Camilla, the world was surprised. Camilla has been by Charles' side for many years, and her journey from a controversial figure to a respected royale is well known. Yet, sources inside the palace suggest Charles quietly reconsidered who should take the lead. In his eyes, Anne seemed the better fit for the crown.
The reason Princess Anne is referred to as the hardest-working royal. In addition to being involved with more than 300 charities, she carries out more events than any other royal.
Anne's reputation for a strong work ethic stands out. She attends countless royal events each year and supports many charities. Camilla brings warmth and charm, but Anne's practical and straightforward style feels more suited to the fast-changing world the monarchy faces today.
Well, I think the slim down was said in a day when there were a few more people around to make that seem like a justifiable comment.
The world changes a bit.
It changes a bit. I mean, it doesn't sound like a good idea from where I'm standing, I have to say.
I'm sure it doesn't.
Charles likely understands that people want a royal who understands everyday struggles. Anne has always been that person. She works quietly behind the scenes, doesn't seek the spotlight, and carries herself with toughness and sense. These qualities might be exactly what the monarchy needs to stay meaningful and relevant. Choosing Anne over Camilla is more than a simple decision. It breaks with tradition. Historically, the queen consort's role was to support the king and step in when necessary. By picking Anne, Charles signals a willingness to change. This bold move suggests the monarchy is shifting its focus toward values like duty and loyalty instead of fame and popularity. Many compare the two women. Camilla is well-liked, but Anne's deep commitment to service may have been what Charles valued most. He sees her as the steady presence the royal family needs during challenging times. Once the initial reactions settle, the world will watch closely to see how this choice shapes the monarchy's future. News of Princess Anne's new role spread quickly online, sparking a wave of excitement and discussion.
I was not allowed to go, probably quite rightly, at that stage in my career. It could have been way more trouble than it was worth.
Hashtags like Hush Queen Anne and Hush Crowning Moment went viral, with royal fans worldwide joining the conversation. This felt like a shared moment for many. Fans praised Anne for years of hard work, often calling her the hardest-working royal. One popular tweet said she was the queen.
And it was more than that because it was really touching in the way that people responded and how they did things.
People didn't know they needed but deserved. Memes followed, showing Anne in her usual practical clothes, with captions like, "Finally, a queen who means business." Supporters loved that she focused on getting things done instead of fancy appearances. Not everyone was convinced, though. Some questioned whether Anne could connect with the public as well as Camilla did. One viral post wondered if Anne had enough charm to lead publicly, even if her behind-the-scenes work was impressive. Despite the doubts, most online reactions were positive. Princess Anne becoming queen is not just about a new leader. It signals a big shift in how people see the monarchy. For years, the British royal family was tied to a romantic idea of royalty. Long history, flashy events, and grand appearances. Anne's rise shows the monarchy is moving towards something more real and relatable. People's views on royalty are changing with Anne in the spotlight. She's known for being strong and reliable, always giving her best. Her practical nature stands in contrast to the usual glamour.
When the Queen died, 72-year-old Princess Anne with her mother until the very end.
Her strength comes from her work ethic. While other royals often make headlines for style and charm, Anne represents the crown without needing the fame. This choice shows King Charles wants a monarchy that reflects modern values, responsibility over tradition. It's a new way to think about leadership in the royal family. In the past, crowns went to the most popular or charming heirs. Anne's path is different. It's about making the role meaningful. This signals the monarchy is ready to adapt, valuing hard work and commitment over public applause. This change also affects other family members. It's no longer about royal charm alone. It's about who can step up and do the job. Younger royals might take note of Anne's quiet strength. She shows that lasting impact comes from dedication, not headlines. Prince William, known for his own public service, might find this new direction fits his vision well. Meanwhile, Prince Harry could see it as proof that the monarchy is willing to change old ways, especially as he steps back from royal duties. As history moves forward with Anne as queen, her commitment to duty highlights her true character and strength. A strong but simple bond. Being children of Queen Elizabeth II came with many challenges. Still, King Charles and Princess Anne have a deep respect for each other.
Child and only daughter of the late Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. She had her first royal engagement at the age of 18, and
they have supported each other during hard times, like when they lost their mother, and shared happy moments, such as when Charles became king. Princess Anne has always been loyal to her brother. Even when the royal family faced difficulties, she stayed by Charles's side. She believed it was important to help him get ready to be king. While others watched their relationship closely, Anne quietly supported him. This loyalty may have led Charles to give her a bigger role in the family. They do not always agree. Charles is known for being charming and careful with his words. Anne is more direct and practical. These differences may cause some disagreements, but they also help them work better together. Their different views make it easier to make important choices for the monarchy.
Deal with that as a family?
Well, we don't, in many respects, need to deal with it. Not least of all because it is the monarch.
The media often shows royal siblings as either perfect or full of conflict. But Charles and Anne's relationship is based on many years of shared experiences and support. Their bond shows that true support means accepting each other's strengths, even if they do not always agree. As the monarchy moves forward, Charles and Anne will continue to play important roles. Their relationship shows that family ties last a long time, and that sibling loyalty is strongest in hard times. Whether they agree or disagree, their bond will remain a key part of the royal family story. Imagine a monarchy that feels more down to earth and easy to relate to, like a teacher who is always ready to help. With Princess Anne taking a bigger role, many believe she could bring this kind of new energy to the royal family. Anne is known for working hard and being practical, and this could shape her time as queen. Since she was young, Anne has been very serious about her royal duties, attending many events every year without complaining. She does not look for attention or glamour, but focuses on doing her work. As queen, this hard work could inspire others and set a good example for the future. Anne is called the hardest working royal for a reason. She supports more than 300 charities and takes part in more public events than any other royal. She prefers real work over fancy ceremonies. This attitude could help the royal family focus on important issues like mental health, education, and helping communities. Her practical way of working could help the monarchy feel closer to the people. So, what can people expect from Queen Anne? Many hope she will be honest and face problems directly while connecting with ordinary people. She cares a lot about causes like animal welfare and women's rights, and as queen, she could bring attention to these issues. Anne might also use social media to share her work and connect with younger people, making the monarchy feel more modern. As Anne takes on a bigger role, many people are watching closely to see if she is the right choice for queen. Her supporters point to her years of hard work, loyalty, and honesty, saying these qualities make her a good leader for the monarchy's future. Her hands-on style could help the royal family feel more connected to the public. Anne understands many different groups of people and their needs. Younger people who want honesty and hard work like her straightforward approach. Anne has spent years visiting hospitals, schools, and charities to make a real difference. But not everyone is sure she is the best choice. Some think she lacks the charm and appeal of other royals, like Camilla. They worry her honest style might not attract as much public interest as the usual royal ceremonies. Some believe the monarchy needs more style and tradition to stay popular. People are also curious about what Anne becoming queen means for the future of the royal family. Will she change the monarchy's role in Britain and the world? Some see her leadership as a step toward making the royal family easier to relate to. Others worry it could move the family away from old traditions. As Princess Anne begins her role as queen, many people will be paying close attention to what changes she brings to the royal family. Her clear and focused way of working may shift the attention toward real actions instead of public image. But meeting today's expectations while respecting long-standing traditions will not be easy. Her success might depend on how well she manages this balance. Anne's leadership could start serious conversations about what the monarchy should look like in today's world, and whether it needs to change even more in the years ahead. Do you think Princess Anne can lead the monarchy in a new direction? Share your thoughts in the comments.